Hello everyone, this is Professor Stewart giving you this quick hit on source citing for your speech in business and professional communication. As we're going through this particular quick hit, we're going to uncover where to find sources that are adequate for this particular level of speech. As I've said before in other quick hits, and even as I say it on my face-to-face classes, this is not the time or the place or the situation in which you just Google everything and get whatever link pops up on Google. That was high school. This is not high school. So let's just be aware of proper source sites, seeing as how you have to have journal articles, peer-reviewed journal articles, in your particular speech. When it comes to citing support or evidence, because this speech is centered around your base company, some of you might have personal experience with that particular base company. You should keep in mind that your personal experience counts as support, but it does not count as evidence, meaning it counts as examples. You could use examples to make your case or to state your case or to help explain what it is that you want to talk about, but it does not count as one of the sources that are required for this particular speech. Some of you are probably going to get your sources from books or magazines. We do have to have journals in our speeches. With books and magazines and journals, always remember we need a date. And you can write that down for practically every source that you're citing in your speech. You always, always, always must cite a date. For a book, you could use the copyright date. You could for a magazine as well, but magazines are typically very good about publishing specifics. When it comes to their date, they either give that month in the year or the season and the year. But for example, with a book, if you're citing Fast Food Nation, you'll just look in the first couple of pages to see when it was copywritten and the copyright date 2018. So you'll just cite it as according to Fast Food Nation 2018. When it comes to magazines and journals, as I said before, you're looking for the specific date in and of itself that the magazine or journal was published, or they might have a season and a year, such as fall 2018, or they might have the month and a year, such as November 2018. But either way, all of that information needs to be cited. Credible magazines out there that you could use for your particular speech: Time Magazine, Business Insider, National Geographic. There are still some, and some of you are probably like, Mr. Sean, do they even make magazines anymore? There's still a few, and there's still a few that are still credible out there as well. Journals, peer-reviewed journal articles, that's where you're going to find that here on your electronic databases. LexisNexis, Academic Search Complete, which is EBSCOhost, JSTOR, Google Scholar, all of those are your top electronic databases that colleges and universities really like. No matter if you're at a 2-year university, such as here at Lone Star, at a 4-year university, those are probably your go-to, although there are a few more electronic databases out there. You can access this even at home, but you need a Lone Star ID. So if you do not have a Lone Star College ID, you need to go to your nearest campus or center, have your picture taken in the library so you can get yourself an ID. On the back of that ID, there will be a number that you're able to put into the library's homepage to get the electronic database. I've also heard from students that once they log into MyStar or iStar or My Lone Star, because that utilizes their LSC username, that they're able to access electronic databases as well. But keep in mind, you do have access to this, so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to find a peer-reviewed journal article that will be applicable to your speech. Let's be honest, some of you listening to this have probably used Wikipedia before as a source site in your speech. I'm here to tell you that Wikipedia is good and bad. Bad in the sense of no, you do not want to source cite this, and the reason we don't want to source cite this in the speech is because Wikipedia is an encyclopedia. That's the first reason. All encyclopedias in and of themselves should never be sourced in a speech, and the reason being is because encyclopedias are designed to give a superficial overview of a topic. They're not designed to go in depth into a topic. But the second reason we don't want to use Wikipedia is because anybody can go in and edit the article. However, this should not deter you from going to that Wikipedia page of that particular company or organization and just getting a glimpse of information. So it's a great place to start. You could start on a Wikipedia page, but that's not where you want to finish. And even some Wikipedia pages have source sites at the end or footnotes that link back to credible sources. So you're able to start there in terms of where should I go? And if you think into yourself, I don't even know how to break down this particular speech or this company or this corporation, well then go to Wikipedia. They'll give you a general idea, and they'll hit on key buzzwords or phrases that you can then start to research on credible search engines. Some of you are probably going to ignore what I said earlier in this quick hit and just still Google everything for your source sites anyway. And that's, hey, it's your life, God bless. That's totally fine. However, you have to determine how credible that website is. One of the things I will do when looking at your video is if I hear a website, and if I hear a website that you've source cited, I will just stop the video and then Google it myself and determine if it's credible or if it's not. You have to make that determination based upon your past experiences and based upon the information that's within that site and what it is that you want to tell us. Typically, .gov, .edus are credible. .coms, dicey, because anybody can create a .com. I offer this to my online students the same way I offer it to my face-to-face students. If you are unsure whether a website is credible, all you gotta do is send it to me and I'll let you know. I'll look at it and say, yeah, you can use it, or I probably shy away from that. Because sometimes some websites look credible, but in the end, they're a personal blog. So you want to be aware of that before you even record your speech. And then we have interviews. I do not expect you to do an interview with anybody from your base company. But if you do interviews in the future for public speeches, you just want to make sure they're a scholar in their field, ask them what their credentials are, and then mention their credentials in the speech in and of itself. And then when you are recording them or you are asking them questions, you want to make sure they're open-ended so that they can develop a quality answer that's going to help you with your particular speech. And you always record the interview and let them know, I will destroy this particular recording after I use what I need to use and after my speech is complete. So when using particular websites, one of the things I want you to be aware of is how accurate these websites are. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff out there and a lot of stuff that the perception is it's credible. And some people perceive it to be credible just because of the way it looks, the website in and of itself. And some people perceive it to be credible just because of the information. You're saying, oh my gosh, this finally has the information I need and is saying what I need it to say. It's credible. No, you got to kind of do your research on that. You have to be aware of that. Who's responsible for this particular piece of information? Is the author a credible author? Is this author biased? Does this author have ties to certain groups that I don't want me to have ties to when I announce their name as somebody I find credible to get information from? So all of this is information that you have to ask yourself while gathering your source sites. And is the website current? We should not be even stuff from the early 2000s, maybe late 90s is okay. Anything earlier than, I would say, 1998, you were probably a little bit off. Here you see 2014. That's where I want you to stay, 2014 to now. And the reason you don't want to go back too far is because the chances of that information or data being updated is very, very high. And that's another thing. Is it free from bias? This is mostly for persuasive speeches. The informative speech, you're trying to just give us information out there that's going to compare and contrast. So how do you actually cite the sources in your speech? When we talk about actually citing the sources in your speech, I'm okay with you just using the phrase according to for every source site. That doesn't bother me. It lets people know that, hey, a source is coming. A credible source is coming. But you could also use the phrase as stated in blank, blank, blank. Here's some examples. According to the Houston Chronicle of October 3rd, 2017, the Houston Chronicle states on October 3rd, 2017, according to the Journal of Speech, Fall 2016. That's an academic peer-reviewed journal, quarterly journal of speech. So this is how you want to cite your sources. One of the things you do not want to do is put your sources all on a slide and then just say at the end, here are my sources. Why don't you want to do that? Well, number one, we don't know what source goes to what piece of information that you gave us in the speech. And number two, we don't know who to properly give credit to for certain things in your PowerPoint and in your speech as well. I was telling my face-to-face classes, I guess y'all are taught this in high school, middle school, I don't know where, but I really wish you would tell me who is teaching you that that's what you're supposed to do, because that is 1000% incorrect. We have no idea what goes to what, so now you're trudging into plagiarism territory. How do we not know you just didn't put random sources up there and plagiarize the entire speech? So you always want to source cite your information in the body of the speech itself. And yes, it's totally cool to have a source cite in the introduction as well. But as you're starting to research, you have to ask yourself, where am I getting information? What search engines am I going to use? How do I know that this information is accurate? How do I know this information is correct? And am I properly giving credit from this particular source and author to the information that I'm saying, so that I avoid plagiarism and plagiarism tactics? This quick hit was designed to help you understand how to source cite, where to find research, where you should be looking. Once again, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask me. Write it down on the discussion board so other students will know the information as well. And good luck finding sources for your speech.